Bruh, something wild happened to comedy these last few years. And the craziest part, Lily Singh was right in the middle of it, like the final boss of jokes that ain't jokes. I kept wondering, like, when did funny stop meaning funny and start meaning clap if you agree with my TED talk? When did a punchline turn into a PowerPoint slide? And Lily, she wasn't the only one, but she showed us the blueprint. Exactly how woke comedy went from hype to headache. The rise, the crash, the preachy vibes, all of it. So today, I'm breaking down how Lily Singh accidentally exposed an entire era of comedy that was never funny to begin with, and why the whole thing fell apart right in front of us. Stick around, because the ending, yeah, it gets even worse. Lily didn't just show up one day. Nah. She grew out of that golden era of YouTube when people were still figuring out what a vlog was. Back then, she had this goofy, hyper energy. Skits about Indian parents, accents, stereotypes, stuff that actually hit because it felt real. It felt lived in.
Oi, I bought you backpack last month. Mom, you bought me a backpack 3 years ago, okay? It's old. I threw it away. Oh, okay, now 3 years old, huh? How old you bloody are? Should I throw you? Put it back.
And the internet was like, hey yo, finally someone brown on the screen. But slowly, her whole brand shifted from funny girl from Toronto into representing something bigger. Hollywood saw her blowing up and went, oh, perfect. We found our diversity unicorn. They didn't want Lily. They wanted what Lily symbolized: a brown girl, a woman, a queer voice, a marketing checklist wrapped in one person. And Lily, she leaned into it heavy. Identity jokes became her whole toolbox, her whole bag, her whole personality. Every headline was like, bisexual woman of color breaks another barrier.
Bisexual woman of color? Bisexual woman of color gets late night show. Come on. I'm more than just a bisexual woman of color, okay? I almost legally changed my name to bisexual woman of color.
Not comedian, not writer, not performer, just the labels. That's how she became the poster child, not for comedy, but for the era where representation mattered more than the craft. Bro, there was a shift, a very loud, very obvious shift. Her videos stopped being stories and turned into speeches. Like, she would hop on camera and instead of dropping a punchline, she'd drop a TED talk. White men need to do better. Brown girls go through this. Men need to understand that. And you just sit there like, cool message, but where's the comedy? It was like she forgot the assignment. Comedy is supposed to hit. Timing, exaggeration, irony. But her delivery started sounding like those HR training videos companies force you to watch on a Monday morning.
What did the rock say to the flower? Okay, bloomer. Skinny jeans, favorite jeans, mom jeans. Sounds like a dope Genuine song. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's not funny.
She wasn't making jokes. She was making points and hoping we'd clap. That's claptor comedy. That's the moment funny turned into homework, and the audience felt it. The energy dried up, her views dipped, engagement fell. People weren't mad, they were bored. Because nobody logs into YouTube like, let me get lectured by a millionaire telling me why society sucks. This was the turning point, the moment the laughter stopped and the eye rolls began.
You serious?
This is where the whole thing went off the rails. Hollywood swooped in like, we finna fix late night with one brown woman. But late night ain't YouTube. It's a battlefield, writers' rooms, timing, pacing, crowd energy. And the legends, Conan, Colbert, Letterman, they all spent years grinding stand-up clubs, bombing on stage, learning rhythm the hard way. Lily didn't do any of that. They fast-tracked her like she was a cheat code. Not because she was the funniest, but because she fit the poster. Hollywood basically said, we need diversity points. Who's trending? Boom. Lily Singh. The box checked, the symbol placed on the throne, the actual craft left in the Uber. She never had the runway comedians need to fail, experiment, adjust. They threw her straight into the lion's den with the weak writer's room, a tiny budget, and the responsibility of, changing television forever.
If you're wondering why I've been chosen to host this show, it's because television is dying and the internet is thriving.
They weren't setting her up to shine. They were setting her up to represent. And representation without preparation is just sabotage in disguise. And that's the moment her career stopped being about talent and started being about optics. Man, that late night show, that thing was doomed before she even sat in the chair. NBC gave her a time slot so late, even the insomniacs were asleep. And then they hit her with the fast food assembly line production schedule. 90 episodes in a little over 3 months. Bruh, that's not a show. That's a sweatshop. Multiple episodes a day.
So doing 3 episodes and 2 sketches in one day.
Tiny writer's room. 0 time to refine jokes. 0 time to breathe. And comedy needs breathing room. You can't whip out punchlines like you're cooking noodles in 3 minutes. And the wildest part? They wanted her to change late night while refusing to give her the resources every other late night host had.
It's not fair.
Like, hey, we need you to break barriers. And also, here's a budget smaller than your laptop. So what happens when you take someone who never built the stand-up muscle, throw them into late night, give them no staff, no runway, and a preachy script? You get exactly what we saw. A show that felt like a corporate diversity commercial stretched into 22 minutes. People didn't just stop watching, they actively avoided it. Because every episode felt like Lily yelling at you with a smile. This wasn't failure by accident, it was failure by design. Now this is the core of everything. This right here is why her whole style collapsed. Woke comedy ain't comedy. It's applause chasing. It's statements dressed up as punchlines. It's doing stand-up with a PowerPoint behind you. Instead of, that's funny, people responded with, yup, she's right. And bruh, that ain't the same. That's claptor. Folks clap because they agree, not because they laughed. Problem is, claptor comedy only works when people care about the message. And after 5 years of everyone screaming about politics 24/7, people were tired, exhausted, done. Lily tried to build a career on that style. White men are bad. Minorities are amazing. I'm breaking barriers. But you can only repeat the same 3 jokes for so long before the crowd goes, all right, bruh, we heard it. And because the jokes weren't funny, she leaned even heavier on identity. The message got louder, the humor got weaker. The audience checked out. Comedy needs surprise, timing, irony, not preachiness, not moral superiority, not another TED Talk wrapped in glitter. Lily didn't show us that woke comedy changed the world. She showed us why it never worked to begin with. And when everything started crumbling, instead of saying, all right, I missed the mark, Lily doubled down, hard. The TED Talk? Oh my God. That thing was the Super Bowl of self-importance. She hit the stage like a Marvel hero explaining her origin story. My parents didn't celebrate my birth.
You see, because my mom had been told that if she gave birth to a daughter, it wasn't worth phoning home about. After all, she'd already given birth to my older sister, and this time everyone had high hopes that she would do right and have a son. But she didn't. She had me. And so there were no congratulations or Indian sweets sent our way. Just the reality that from the moment I came into this world, I was already a disappointment to so many people.
So now I chase power. Girl, what?
What?
We came for jokes. Why are we listening to your trauma monologue? This was her whole vibe. Blame the world. Blame the industry. Blame the audience. Blame society for not being ready for her brilliance. Never herself. She kept repeating her labels like affirmations. I'm a bisexual woman of color.
Bisexual. I tweeted out, female, colored, bisexual.
Cool, but can you write a good joke?
That's a very good question.
Her ego grew while her audience shrank. She talked like she was breaking historic ground, while ignoring that late night legend spent decades grinding to earn their stripes. She got the subtract, then blamed everyone when she couldn't carry the weight of the position. And what made it look worse? Every time criticism came, she framed it as bigotry instead of honest feedback. That's how you destroy your connection with the audience. You treat them like haters, not humans. This wasn't confidence, this was delusion. And it turned a career stumble into a full-blown spiral. At some point, the audience just snapped, bruh. People who grew up watching Lily back in the day, the OG fans, they started realizing she wasn't speaking to them anymore. She was speaking at them. Big difference. Massive. The comment sections went from, I love her energy, to, why is she yelling at us again? Then, why does she think she's better than us? Then finally, yo, this ain't funny at all. And when her late night show flopped, YouTubers pounced. Not out of hate, out of confusion. Like, sis, what happened to you? But Lily took it personal, deep personal. She started saying the community betrayed her, as if creators were obligated to protect her from criticism. Meanwhile, she wasn't delivering any comedy worth defending. Her audience wanted jokes, relatability, authenticity. She gave them monologues, political rants, ego speeches. The vibe shift was insane. And when she blamed the pushback on racism, sexism, homophobia, that's when people tapped out completely. Because once you weaponize your labels against your own viewers, that trust, gone forever. What we saw wasn't bullying. It was the audience finally saying, Lily, we loved you, but you stopped being funny.
I can't do everything though. And I have my own lived experiences, and so I have my own way of talking, of dressing, of doing things, because that's what I know. And every once in a while, I'll get a South Asian person, a Punjabi person being like, sell out, you do nothing for us, you do nothing for our community. Like, it's actually the hate from our own community that bothers me the most, because I care so deeply about that community.
Right, because that's who you are.
And it's a thing a lot of people face.
By the time 2025 hit, Lily was basically in rebuild mode. She dropped an indie movie, 7 years in the making, under her own production company, Unicorn Island. And honestly, good for her for making something. But the rollout, bruh, everywhere she popped up. Interviews, premieres, podcasts, the comments were identical. The same corny lines like, this is a masterpiece. Brilliant journalism. This movie changed my life. Except it was copy-paste across multiple platforms. Different videos, same exact comments, same emojis, same weird praises. That ain't fans. That's bots. Cheap bots. Bots that look like they were programmed by a 14-year-old during lunch break. This is what happens when you want the appearance of support instead of actually earning it. She kept trying to force the hype instead of reconnecting with the people who once loved her. This wasn't a comeback. It was a simulation of a comeback. And the interviews barely cracked a few hundred views. Huge production, studio lighting, fancy chairs. But the numbers were screaming, nobody's checking for this. It exposed a bigger truth. You can't algorithm your way out of a reputation problem, and you can't bot your way back into cultural relevance.
You cannot. You cannot do that.
Here's the real lesson, bruh. It ain't just Lily. This whole era of woke comedy died because it forgot what comedy actually is. People don't watch humor to get lectured. They want to laugh at the world, not get scolded for it. For 5 straight years, Hollywood tried to push comedians who were more activists than performers. Every joke had a message. Every message was a guilt trip. And the audience was like, man, I came here to escape the news, not get more of it. Comedy needs contrast, silence before the punchline, unexpected twists, human truth, characters, timing, pain turned into humor, real experiences, not the same surface level talking points repackaged 1,000 times, not men are trash jokes, not white people don't season food jokes.
You don't have to remember to go out and get anyone flowers. You just have to remember to go out and fight for equal pay for women in the workplace. Yeah. I know there are guys out there thinking, oh, International Women's Day? Why don't we have an International Men's Day? Because you do. It's actually on November 19th. But you wouldn't know that because you're too busy celebrating it every other day of the year. Fun fact, November 19th is also International Toilet Day.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Not identity bingo. People got exhausted. There's only so many times you can hear the same moral sermon before your brain goes, all right, fam, enough. It becomes noise, predictable, corny. Lily's downfall didn't create this shift. It revealed it. She was the case study for an era collapsing under its own weight. The blueprint of what happens when message replaces humor and labels replaced talent. And once audiences figured that out, the whole woke comedy wave evaporated, just like that. At the end of the day, this whole story, all the hype, the collapse, the excuses, it comes down to one simple truth. Comedy is a craft, not a certificate. You don't get funnier because you belong to a group. You get funnier because you work your ass off, bombing on stage, rewriting jokes, learning timing, learning silence, building presence. That's the real hustle. That's the real grind. But Lily skipped all that and walked in like being a bisexual woman of color was the setup, the punchline, and the special. That's not comedy. That's branding. When you rely on identity points instead of actual skill, the audience eventually catches on. They clap at first because they support you, but they stop clapping when you stop delivering. And she stopped delivering years ago. Late night hosts grind for decades. Writers grind for years. Comedians bleed for this. YouTube can make you relevant, but it can't make you legendary. Skill makes you legendary. And that's the lesson Lily never wanted to learn. The one Hollywood avoided. The one her PR tried to hide. The one her TED Talk danced around. In comedy, identity ain't enough. You need jokes. You need craft. You need skill.
Skill, baby, skill.
You can't talk your way around that. You gotta earn it. And the crazy part, Lily used to be funny. Back in the old school YouTube days, before TikTok, before shorts, before everything became content, she actually had charm. Her Indian parent skits were exaggerated but relatable. Her hyper-chaotic energy felt real, not manufactured. You could tell she was having fun, not trying to represent 12 demographics at once. And the platform was perfect for her. Cut, jump cut, accent, punchline, goofy face, outro. Boom, it worked. She knew that rhythm. She knew that style. She knew her lane. That's why the switch to late night was so harsh, bruh. You can't take someone who thrives in 4-minute skits and drop them into a 22-minute network format. That's like taking a TikToker and handing them a Broadway script. It ain't the same sport. But the biggest difference? On YouTube, she wasn't trying to fix the world. She was trying to make you laugh. She was playful, not preachy. Self-aware, not self-righteous. People love that Lily. She left that Lily behind. And that's where the magic died. This is one of the most dangerous traps in entertainment right now. Hollywood loves grabbing creators and turning them into whatever symbol is trending. And they did that to Lily hard. Instead of letting her be funny, they turned her into a walking billboard for diversity. Every interview was about her race. Every headline was about her sexuality. Every appearance was about her identity.
It says, what's your female type?
Yeah, we love that question.
Not comedian, not writer, not late night host, just labels, 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 like they were collecting Pokemon cards. And Lily bought into it. She embraced being the first, the historic one, the breaking boundaries girl. But Hollywood don't care about you. They care about the moment, the tweet, the optics, the PR win. Once they were done celebrating her existence, they left her alone on a sinking ship with no support. Because that's what happens. They hype you up as the diversity hero, then vanish when you need actual resources, training, writers, professionals. The trap is real. They turn you into an activist, not an artist, a symbol, not a performer, a representation of progress, not someone who's ready for the stage. And Lily is the latest example of how that pipeline fails every single time. The label becomes bigger than the person, and the person collapses under it. See, people forget something major about comedy. Stand-up is the gym. Late night is the Olympics. And Lily went straight to the Olympics without ever hitting the treadmill. Every late night legend, Fallon, Kimmel, Conan, Arsenio, Letterman, they all did years of bombing on stage, eating dirt, getting booed, failing in front of drunk crowds, building timing, building persona, building rhythm. That's how comedians learn to read the room. That's how they learn to be funny even when they're not. Stand-up teaches you survival. Lily didn't do that. She skipped the trenches. Went straight from YouTube sketches in my bedroom to, I'm going to carry a national network on my back at 1:30 a.m. And bro, late night comedy is a science. You got to hit monologue pacing. You got to build setups. You got to land callbacks. You got to talk to the audience, not at them. You got to riff. You got to improv. You got to recover from awkward silence without praying to God mid-sentence. Lily had none of that muscle. So when she stepped on that stage, the silence felt loud. The jokes felt stiff. The audience felt uncomfortable. And she hid all of that behind representation instead of treating it like what it was, a job she wasn't trained for. This wasn't hate. It was the natural result of skipping the grind. Now this part right here, bruh, this was tragic comedy. NBC pre-recorded her episodes months in advance. So when the pandemic hit, while the world was freaking out, her show was airing bits about going to parties, making out with strangers, dating life, kissing jokes, outside adventures. It was tone deaf to the max. People were locked inside wiping groceries with bleach, and Lily was like, here's a joke about smooching at a bar. Girl, read the room.
Damn. He don't got a clue in the f***ing world.
And because the show relied on timely social commentary, but nothing was actually current, her jokes felt stale, outdated, detached, like she was living in another dimension. Meanwhile, other late night hosts adapted. Some filmed from home, some changed their tone, some adjusted their content. Lily stayed stuck in the pre-COVID timeline like a glitch in the Matrix. It made her show look even weaker. This wasn't her fault personally. NBC set her up with the worst production model ever. But her woke comedy vibe, already shaky, got exposed even more when the world needed authenticity, and she delivered pre-recorded lectures. This was the moment people stopped giving her the benefit of the doubt.
It ain't gon' it ain't gonna work.
Here's something people don't talk about enough. Lily's fan base never followed her to late night because they didn't even recognize her anymore. Her YouTube fans were kids, teens, young adults, people who enjoyed her goofy skits, her accents, her soft chaos, people who loved Superwoman, not network personality Lily Singh. But late night Lily, that was a whole new character. Serious, preachy, corporate approved, identity obsessed, trying way too hard to be historic. Her old fans didn't want that. They didn't want lectures. They didn't want political speeches. They didn't want every joke to be a reminder of someone's oppression. And the new audience NBC wanted, they didn't show up because that audience was never real. They imagined a fan base that didn't exist. They thought if we put a diverse face in this seat, millions will tune in. Nope. Real fans connect with personality, not identity. And Lily abandoned the personality that made her special. She became a brand, a spokesperson, a representation trophy, not a creator. Her career didn't collapse because she changed. It collapsed because she changed into someone nobody related to. Here's the part that kills me, bruh. Hollywood watched Lily's whole downfall. Front row seats, popcorn, premium viewing, and still ain't learned a damn thing. They keep running the same play like it's gonna magically work one day. Find someone diverse, hype them as historic, skip the training, skip the grind, skip the experience, and throw them into a job that takes years to master. Then when it flops, America wasn't ready. Nah, the talent wasn't ready. And the machine set them up to fail from day one. You can't force a cultural moment. You can't manufacture authenticity. You can't slap identity labels on a project and expect people to ignore everything else. The writing, the timing, the skill, the actual entertainment value. Hollywood keeps confusing representation with replacement. You don't replace skill with identity. You add representation to skill. But they pick people who look right, not people who are ready. And Lily became the blueprint for that mistake, the poster child for symbol over substance. They pushed her into the spotlight like she was supposed to save late night, when late night was already half dead and wheezing. Instead of building her career the real way, the comedy clubs, the live reps, the messy growth, they treated her like a product. And when the product didn't sell, they pretended it was our fault for not liking the flavor.
How? Hold on, bro. How?
This cycle keeps eating creators alive. Hollywood stays playing identity roulette while pretending they're pushing culture forward, when really, they're setting people up to get dragged across the internet for things they were never trained to do. And Lily, she showed us exactly why that system don't work. Not for her, not for comedy, not for anyone. You know what's wild, bruh? Lily's story ain't really about Lily. It's about what happens when you chase validation instead of craft. When you let labels talk louder than your talent. When you try to save the world before you even master your lane. And I'm not gonna sit here and pretend she didn't work hard. She did. But she worked hard in the wrong direction. She chased approval, symbolism, headlines, and forgot the basics. Be funny, be real, be human. The world don't owe you praise because of who you are. People rock with you because of what you bring, what you create, how you show up. And once the vibes turn preachy, once the message gets louder than the skill, the audience checks out every time. It's human nature. But the bigger lesson, don't let the world rush you into a spotlight you ain't ready for. Don't skip the grind because you want the glory. Growth is slow. Craft takes time. And the things you force never last. If Lily had stayed true to the funny, goofy, chaotic energy that built her career, nobody would have dragged her. But when you build your brand on lectures, labels, and ego, the collapse hits harder than the rise ever did. This ain't about shaming her. It's about warning every creative watching this. Be authentic. Be funny. Be you. Stop chasing titles. Stop chasing symbolism. Focus on the craft, not the applause. Applause fades, but skill don't. Let me ask you one thing. Do you think Lily's downfall was her fault, Hollywood's fault, or the comedy era she tried to fit into? Drop your take down below. I really want to see where y'all stand on this. And listen, if you like this breakdown, there's another video popping up on your screen right now that you need to watch. Go hit that. Trust me, you'll go down the rabbit hole with me. I'll see you on the next one. Panda out.